generally speaking, I get more views on the how-to videos, but people get to know me better and like me and want to stick around more for the vlog videos. And they might find me through the how-to videos, but they stick around because of the vlog videos where they can get to know me better. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't tried to make different kinds of content. And so I think that experimenting, see what works, see what doesn't, is an important thing to do at the start.
Thanks so much for tuning into the WhyInfluence podcast, where we interview influencers about their why and motivation for sharing online. I'm your host, Jeremy Siegel, and today our guest is Tristan Higbee from SUVRving. He's got a YouTube channel with over 20,000 subscribers and over 3.2 million views. Tristan creates a lot of content around travel and car camping, but without giving you more spoilers, let's jump into the interview.
Welcome to the WhyInfluence podcast, where we deep dive into the why behind some of the world's most influential people. Why do you influence? Why are you an influencer? We hope to inspire you to share your voice with the world. And now, your host, Jeremy Siegel.
Well, Tristan, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come here and share your why with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy. I'm excited.
Yeah, no problem. So I actually found you because I came back from my honeymoon where I did 2 weeks in India, 2 weeks in Africa, and we rented a fully equipped Land Cruiser, safaried around, and we just enjoyed camping so much that we came back to the States and we're like, we want to start camping more. So I started watching some videos on people's camping setups and found you, and I happened to just reach out and see if you'd be interested in coming on the show. And it's awesome that, you know, I get somebody to come on the show in a hobby that is something that I'm interested in. So
yeah, thanks for having me. It's what I do is kind of very niche, very specialized. So it's fun to talk to people about it.
Yeah. So before we jump into your why, I'd like to just jumpstart with an unintended consequence. Do you mind sharing an unintended consequence that you've gotten recently from somebody that either watches your videos or is part of your audience?
Sure. So I make videos about basically traveling and camping and road tripping in an SUV, and a few different kinds of people watch my videos. Some people just like to go traveling. Some people they are homeless and they need a place to stay, so they want to know how they can best stay in an SUV for that kind of thing. And so I've gotten messages from people who were forced to sleep in their SUV because of the circumstances that life has thrown at them. And it's been especially touching when people say, thanks so much for this video. It really helped me when I had to get out of a toxic relationship. And the best way for me to do that was to go live in my SUV, and your videos really helped me with that. And then I get people who are, so I do a lot of camping and adventuring, rock climbing, kayaking, things like that. And I'm an adventurous guy. And so I get people who can no longer do that kind of thing. Older people in wheelchairs. And so it's really special to me when people say, I love watching your videos. I love seeing the places you go. I can't do that anymore. And so watching your videos is kind of an escape for me. It's kind of a throwback to what I used to be able to do.
Wow. And these are these people that you intended or thought you'd be impacting when you first started out?
No way. Like I was just making videos about how to sleep in an SUV, and I didn't really have an audience in mind for it. I didn't know if there was an audience in mind for it. And so basically everything that's happened has kind of taken me by surprise to one degree or another.
That's very cool. So do you mind telling us when you started sharing online, when you feel like you started, putting your voice out there and started intentionally making an impact?
So I started blogging way back in the day. I've blogged about a bunch of different subjects, and none of them really took off. Nothing that really stuck. And then when I was in college, I started. I had a blog about rock climbing, but I was tired of updating the blog, and so I took all the blog posts and turned them into an ebook, threw it up on Amazon, started making money from it, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I don't have to do anything else. It's essentially passive income once the book is up there, and so that became my focus. I started writing more books on different subjects. Ended up writing a bunch of books, and that was my main source of income for a while. And ultimately, I wrote a book about SUVRving, which is the name of my channel, and it's the kind of the focus of everything that I do. I wrote a book called SUVRving, and it was just one in a number of books. And I thought, this kind of subject, it lends itself well visually to something like YouTube, to videos. And so I started making YouTube videos basically to sell books, to sell more copies of the book. But then it just kind of took off, and it became the focus of everything else that I do.
Okay, so you started out blogging for a while, and then you took those blogs, created ebooks, started making books, then made a book about RVing, and then you started the YouTube channel, and then now the YouTube channel sort of is your main focus?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically. So it's been and this is over the last, I don't know, like 8 or 10 years or so that this has been happening. And so it definitely hasn't been gradual. I wish I had jumped straight to this, but I got here eventually, so I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Was it just not on your mind as an option, or just not anything you're interested in, or what was the reason?
So during that time that I was writing lots of books, I was working online so I could live anywhere. And so I spent a few years traveling around the world, I spent like 6 months or 7 months in Mexico. I spent half a year in Eastern Europe, spent a year in Southeast Asia, South Asia area. And so once I came back to the States after that, that's when I bought a car again, because I sold my car before the trip. And so up to that point, I wasn't SUVRving in Thailand, in Nepal. And so it just
right.
wasn't something. So yeah, it wasn't something that was on my mind. But when I came back to the States, I realized that I wanted to get a vehicle that I could camp in, I could go travel around in. And so I wanted an SUV instead of like a van or an RV or, a Winnebago or something, because it was just much smaller, more practical, cheaper to operate. I could, I get 30 miles per gallon in my little RAV4. And so I can go a lot of places in that kind of vehicle. And so that's how it started.
Okay. So when you were traveling the world, you were still blogging, you're still creating these ebooks that you were selling online during that time?
Yeah, I wasn't blogging as much. I was doing a little bit of blogging, mostly just blogging my adventures for friends and family. But yeah, I was writing ebooks for most of that time.
Okay. So what was it like creating your first or early YouTube videos for you?
Uncomfortable. It's not something that I naturally have an inclination toward or a desire to do. I know that a lot of people feel that way. They don't want to be on a camera. They don't like the way they look. They don't like the way they sound. And that's definitely how I felt. But I thought, what the heck? What do I have to lose? I don't have a lot of people watching these videos.
Right.
And so I thought, yeah, let's try it. And then I think like my first or second video, it is still my most popular video ever. It has like 800,000 views.
Oh, wow.
And so little did I know that those early videos actually would generate interest and get viewed a bunch of times. But yeah, I'm happy that it happened that way, but I did not expect it to happen that way.
Very cool. So when you started out, what was your frequency or your plan with YouTube at that time?
The plan was to do one video a week, and I started, I guess, a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago now, and I've been consistent. I've never missed a week, and I've done 2 videos a week. Sometimes, just depends on how frequently I want to be uploading, but always at least 1 video a week.
Okay, consistently for the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, never missed a week.
Nice. So during your journey of sharing online, were there any moments where you had to give yourself permission to take the next step, or to be more vulnerable, or to share anything for
I
you?
think really the biggest thing was just at the beginning realizing that video, even though it wasn't something I'd really aspired to do, it was something that was learnable, and that it was a skill, just like, writing is a skill, or playing basketball is a skill or whatever. And it's not this like unattainable fairy magic that popular YouTubers have. It's just something that they've done a lot, and so they get good at it because they do it a lot. And so I found that out pretty quick. And all the things that you need to know are learnable, whether it's editing video or being more confident on film. I'm sure there are videos about that. It's all, there's nothing mysterious about it. It's not that difficult. You just have to do it.
All right. So what were some of the steps that you took to learn these skills?
So I hadn't done much in terms of video editing before. I'd done some little things, but nothing crazy. So I had to figure out what video editing software to use. And I wanted something that could work on any platform. I have a Mac now, but who knows what the future might hold as far as that goes. So I wanted software that would work on any computer, and software that could do everything that I wanted to do. And so after trying a few different ones, I landed on Premiere Pro, which is Adobe's video editing software. And so once I decided on that, then I'd never used it before, so I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on how to use it. And so I could kind of figure out how to do things like how to make transitions, how to add text to the screen. There were things that I wanted to do like that. And if I didn't know how to do them, then I would just look it up. And a 3-minute YouTube video later, and I had it figured out. And then I'd edit for another 10-20 minutes until I had another question, and then I'd go look up another video, and just step by step like that.
Okay. Yeah, just
figured out how to do it.
Nice. Just an iterative process. And
yeah.
for you, just the before you started a YouTube channel, it felt like it might have been like a big barrier, but once you got into it, it started to not be so bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So as far as let's talk about the RVing brand that you have. What's your why behind that? Like, why did you start that? Why did you write the first book to begin with? And then let's talk about why you started the YouTube, and we'll dive into that a little bit deeper.
So the book, again, it was just, I was a writer, and so I needed things to write about, and I thought that was an interesting thing to write about because no one else had done it. And I didn't know if that meant that there was nobody else interested in it, or if just no one else had gotten around to it. And I guess, yeah, that's it. I mean, I wrote the book because I wanted to write it, and it didn't already exist. And I think, preparing for this interview and thinking about how and why it all got started, I think that one thing that I've done well is recognize things that I'm looking for, that I want to exist, that don't already exist. Like, I was looking for information on how to sleep in an SUV, how to, set up the bed, and do you cook inside? Like, how do you go to the bathroom? What's the best way to do all that stuff? And there wasn't really good information out there. And so, yeah, it was a combination of thinking it would be fun to do, but also noticing that there was a gap in the market for that kind of thing.
Okay. And why was it important to you to fill that gap in the marketplace?
I mean, at the time, it was just a financial thing, again, it was half financial, half just me wanting to do it. And so the freedom is what has really always interested me. Like the freedom that writing the eBooks had, it was great because I could travel and, live anywhere. And I ended up meeting my wife in Cambodia because of that. And so it's led to amazing things in my life. And the freedom was something that I always valued there. And it's similar with the videos and with the videos. This lifestyle, this job offers me the freedom to do what I want when I want to do it. And it just so happens that what I want to do is exactly what I'm making videos about, is traveling, going on adventures, and things like that. And so there's nice alignment there, nice symmetry between the freedom that I really want, but also what's making money for me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so, if you sort of did it because you saw that it could give you the lifestyle that you wanted, and the impact that you're having on people is almost like a byproduct, because the fact that you wrote a book about SUVRving, or you've got a channel showing it and inspiring others, is sort of a byproduct. But the real thing that's bringing you the lifestyle that you want and the freedom is the fact that you wrote the book, and that the book's selling, and that you've got the channel, that it's bringing income.
Right. It's kind of like a self-reinforcing kind of thing. Like, it's the freedom was important to me, and the freedom to do what I want. And then I made videos about that. But then, like you said, the feedback that I've gotten is way more than I expected. And it's been really fulfilling to get that kind of feedback, even if it's just, thanks for the video, I enjoyed it. Even if it's not like, oh my gosh, you changed my life, this is amazing. Like, even if it's just thanks for the video, providing entertainment is still a valuable and for me fulfilling thing. And so even though, I didn't intend to change lives or anything like that, the results of this have been very fulfilling, and that's why I keep doing it. The freedom is great, but also, and so the freedom and the reinforcement, the satisfaction that I get from it, because you can't do something like this every week and make it like the focus of your life without deriving some sort of deeper reward from it. I think like there are much easier ways to make money and more effective ways to make money than spend all your time traveling and making YouTube videos. Like this,
Right.
This is not the path to riches and glory, I don't think, but because I do enjoy it and because it is so rewarding, that makes it something that I'm able to continue to do.
Right. And that makes sense, because it's sort of like your why is evolving as your journey evolves. Like, you wanted your lifestyle and this freedom, and by sharing that, you're helping inspire others or giving people entertainment. And now some of your why is being incorporated into that, and that's driving you as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So why is it so important to you to have this lifestyle and this freedom?
I just like doing what I want to do. I don't like doing what other people say I should do. I'm a very, very like self-driven, self-motivated person, and like what other people think of me isn't super important. It's all about me, basically, and like what I want. And so I never really got fulfillment from having a regular job, and I don't enjoy having to work on other people's schedules. And I like just the being in control of my fate, my destiny, my life, for better or for worse. It's something that I need in my life. I need that control over my life.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can relate to that.
Yeah. And once you get a taste of it too, it's hard to relinquish it. It's hard to let that go and go back.
For sure.
So that's additional motivation. Yeah. To keep going.
Yeah, true. So then, you're impacting other people with what you're doing. I mean, people are reading your books. People are watching your videos. What's that feel like to you as far as the impact that you're having on people?
It's great. I mean, I think that if everyone were to go out in nature more and spend more time camping and hiking and whatever it is that interests them outside, I think the world would be a better place. And so I'm happy to be a part of that and encouraging people and facilitating that and making it easier for them to do that.
So then, so what does your future look like? What's some stuff that you're looking forward to as far as the future of your career and your channel and the impact that you can make?
So right now, a big focus of mine is my online store. So I have a store called Kamchatka Gear, where I make and sell accessories for vehicle-based adventures, basically. So, for example, pockets that attach to the back of a headrest to give you more storage space in your car, or like a hammock kind of thing that hangs from the grab handle loops in your car, so you can stuff things up there and make better use of space that way. And so the future for me is growing that, and the YouTube videos are basically how I market that side of the business. I make more money from the online store than I do from the YouTube videos. And the YouTube videos are an important part of the puzzle, and I like the money that I make from the YouTube videos. But again, I'm a relatively small niche YouTuber. I have about 20,000 subscribers, which is more than I thought I'd ever have. But I'm not in the hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers, and so if I were to just focus on YouTube, that's not enough to sustain me and my family. And so going forward, the focus is in addition to making the videos and having fun doing that and that whole side of things, growing the store is something that I'm really going to be focusing on more in the upcoming year.
Okay.
And beyond. I don't know what the shelf life is for YouTubing. I don't know, or the half-life, I guess. I don't know how long this is a viable career path and something that I'll want to be doing forever. But having an online store that provides things that people want and need, I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that. So you've created videos on a consistent basis for 2 to 3 years now, and that definitely takes motivation to keep things going. So do you mind sharing any moments of time that you feel like maybe you struggled with motivation and how you powered through it?
I haven't really struggled that much with it, to be honest, because it is something that I do enjoy so much, and I'd be doing it anyway, even if I weren't making videos about it. Maybe I wouldn't be going on as many trips or for as long, but I'd still be going out hiking. I'd still be going, taking kayaking trips that last for a few days. I'd still be climbing mountains. And so just the fact that, again, those things align so well, what I like to do and what I'm making money from, it really hasn't been an issue of motivation. Okay. Sometimes, editing videos isn't my favorite thing in the world, but I kind of enjoy it. And so even if I'm not like, oh my gosh, editing is my calling in life, it's my favorite thing ever, it's still something that, it's just a small part of what I do. And so even if I hated it, I'd still find a way to make it work because there's so much else that is good that comes from it.
Right. Yeah, you've got enough motivating factors pushing you through it that you don't really feel, that struggle that could come from it.
And I think if you do want to do this kind of thing long term, then you really do need to ask yourself, is this something that I can do every week, multiple times a week for years? Because that's what it'll take, or that's what it could take to have some success with it.
Yeah, and I think it sounds like you're sort of living in your truest and most authentic self, situation. Like you love to travel, you love sharing that, and you love being able to make a living from that. So like all of those combined is just sort of giving you the opportunity to just be yourself through the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if I had to put on a facade and like try to act while I'm making videos too, that's not sustainable either. That would get old really quick. And so if someone does want to make videos, or even with podcasting or writing, people will see through it if you're not being yourself. It won't come off as genuine. It'll come off as forced. It won't be enjoyable to watch. And so you do need to be yourself, I think, to succeed in this kind of thing.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people now. Just, people can read through it. It takes more energy to not be yourself, so then you get drained. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the day, if you go down the slippery slope of being someone else, so then you feel like you're an imposter. So like,
exactly. And you'll burn out super fast.
Right. And you've gone 2 to 3 years now without much of any feeling of burning out.
Right. Yeah.
That's impressive.
And the great thing is for my posting schedule now, I post 1 video a week, and that's pretty easy to do for me because, I can go on a on a 3-day trip and get, at least 3 videos from that, 1 video for each day. And then I can do a video about a tip or a trick or a product or something and get another video or 2 about from it. So if I go on a 3-day trip, I can get enough content for a month. And so I think that's important too. Like, how much effort does it take to make the video or the podcast or the book or whatever it is? Like, how much does that take out of you? And again, is that sustainable?
Right. So you're spending about, maybe if you include the editing time and scheduling, about 4 days to maintain your YouTube channel, roughly, plus replying to comments and.
So there are several different kind of silos of what I do. There's the travel silo. There's the video editing and production and scheduling silo. There's the product creation and production silo for the online store. And so it's kind of a balancing act for all of those things. And so even though I could just work on those things for a week out of the month, or I could do the video stuff for like a week out of the month and be good for the month. But again, because I do like it, because I do travel for fun too, I'm traveling more than I need to, basically, especially in the summer. In the summer, I'm gone half the time, probably up in the mountains or something. Right. Now that it's winter, I live in Idaho. It gets cold here, and it's harder to get into the mountains. And so when winter comes, I have more time to focus on other things other than the actual traveling part. But yeah, it's the videos themselves don't take a tremendous amount of time. It takes me, depending on the video, it takes a couple hours to edit a video. If it's a simple video, I can edit it in an hour. If it's a more complicated one that I have to put together multiple days worth of content for, it might take me half a day to edit the video, but usually it's a couple hours.
Right. So there's a lot of people out there that aren't doing a YouTube channel or aren't sharing because of the level of effort that it takes to do that. So it's really interesting to hear, that you're able to grow a YouTube channel over 2 to 3 years of posting 1 video a week to a 20,000 sub channel that's now feeding your online store and giving you an income to make a living.
Yeah, I think that people do need to be careful because the YouTube machine will suck as much of you into it as you're willing to give. So if you do want to make a video every day, you can do that and you might have more success with it, but just be aware of the cost of that in terms of time and your energy, and you'll just be exhausted to try to make a video every day. And so I think if you can come up with a schedule that is sustainable, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. Have you ever considered doing the video every day, or what's gone through your mind as far as like theoretical scenarios, or have you just been like, I'm just sticking to this routine, it's working? So
in the early days, the early videos of my channel were basically how-to videos. They were instructional, educational videos. And then I went on a month-long road trip through Arizona. And I was thinking, okay, I've never really done this vlog style video before. Let's try it. And if I'm gone if it's a month-long trip, maybe I'll make 30 videos out of it, and maybe I'll post 1 a day. And then I tried that, and there were a lot of issues with that. First of all, it was exhausting to do. I don't want to spend that much time editing video. I can spend a couple hours editing a video once a week, but I don't want to spend that much time every day. And also, finding good internet to upload a video, upload a 1 or 2 gigabyte file when you're on the road is difficult. And so just practically speaking, it didn't make sense for me to do that.
Right.
And so since then, I just decided to do 1 a week, and I've done 2 a week before for a good 6 months. Last year or so, I probably did 2 a week. And I can do that if I go on a long trip, get a lot of videos out of it. And if I go on a 30-day trip, theoretically that could be 30 videos. That's most of a year, 30 weeks out of the year. But I like to have more of a variety of content. I don't want to be sharing the same trip for a year. And so
Right.
in that situation, I might post a couple more videos a week. But as far as thinking about increasing it, I don't really have any desire to right now. I'm comfortable with one video a week. I think that's something that I can do for a while. And there's a point of diminishing returns when it comes to uploading multiple videos.
Right.
Sure, I'll get more views, but is that worth the effort? And if I get, most of the views anyway from just one video a week, and if I don't get like 2 or 3 times the views just by posting another video, then why do it?
Right. Yeah, you get. I've had guests with all kinds of strategies on the show, and it's just interesting to hear yours. Is just everyone's got their own strategy, and it's working for everyone. You just got to do what works for you.
Yeah, that is really the key. Like that's what I've been mentioning. You just have to find what works for you. Like there are a million ways to be successful on YouTube with a podcast, with a book, with a blog, with an Instagram account, with whatever it is you want it to be. Everyone who's gotten to a successful point there has done it their own way, and there are general principles and things you can follow to help ensure your own success, but you really kind of need to figure it out on your own, not only because each one of us is different, but because each niche is different. What might work well in my niche will not work well in the, I don't know, health and fitness, or I don't know, small business entrepreneurship niche, and I think that's another important thing to consider is how well is what you're interested in, how well does that align with the chosen medium that you want to go after? So for example, SUVRving, going on trips and adventures and everything like that, that goes really well with YouTube. It's very visual, and it's a very effective way to show what I do. But I don't think podcasting is really right for me. First of all, because I don't think I'd really enjoy it, but also because I just have to describe it a lot more. Like, I don't know what I would talk about. It's just not a good fit for me and my niche. And so for you, I know that, you've been thinking about making YouTube videos, growing your YouTube presence. Maybe, do you have to? You don't have to be everywhere, like I focus on YouTube. I'm kind of half-heartedly in Instagram. I like Instagram, but it's not a huge focus for me. And, I'm not on Facebook really. I am personally, but as far as my brand, it's not on Facebook, not on Twitter, not on Pinterest, nothing like that. So I think that, again, for it to be sustainable, you need to kind of focus on one thing and not try to be everywhere all at once. I think that works for some people, some brands, depending on how much bandwidth you have. But I think especially at the start, focus on one medium, and then you can use the audience that you have there once you grow it up to help grow your other social networks, if that's something that you're still interested in doing.
Yeah, I think that's huge advice, and I think that's spot on. I couldn't agree more. I appreciate that. So thinking back to when you first started your YouTube channel to where you are today, what are some things that you feel like have changed about who you are or how you are?
That is an interesting question. I don't know if I have a good answer for it. Whenever my wife refers to me as a YouTuber, it's kind of like, ugh, don't call me that. Like, that's weird. Like, I'm not like this kid vlogging about doing pranks or something like that, like I don't think of myself really any differently. Even though what I do has changed, I don't think I have changed a whole lot throughout the process. And I think, again, that's important because I'm just myself in the videos, and I'm not trying to be someone else. And, my focus maybe a little bit has changed as far as, what I make the videos about. But as far as me, I don't think I've changed all that much. I'm still me, more or less.
Do you feel like, I know you've obviously become a better video editor, but as far as like skills of communication skills or things that you've learned through the process and through your journey, are there any things that stand out for you for that?
I mean, I'm definitely more comfortable holding a camera and talking to it than I was when I started. But I mean, I still don't like doing it like in front of other people. Like vlogging in a crowded area is not something that I enjoy, which is good for me because most of the time I'm out in the middle of nowhere and there's no one there around anyway. So it's a good alignment with what what I'm comfortable with. But
so you'll be in places maybe recording something, you see someone walking around the corner approaching you, and you'll drop the camera, wait for that going by.
Sometimes, yeah, depending on how I'm feeling. But yeah, a lot of times I'll just like, if I see someone coming down the trail toward me, it's like, ooh, I'll put the camera away. First of all, just because like it's weird for me and it's weird for them too. Like,
right.
What's this weird guy doing talking to a camera out here? Who's this loser?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something I've become more comfortable with, but I'm still not super comfortable with it. And again, if you're not comfortable with it, it gets better, it gets easier, but it might not get all the way there to where you'd like to be, but not always necessary.
Yeah, I like that, and I think it's interesting that that you shared that you can be, you're uncomfortable doing it around other people, but yet you get hundreds of thousands of people sometimes watching your videos, and it's just an interesting dynamic. It's such a different experience creating a video and sharing that online versus like standing on stage or doing it around other people. Yeah,
and I've had people who like want to go camping with me or want to meet up with me, and I'm just like, like how often do you see other people in my videos? Like never. My wife sometimes, the occasional friend here and there, but I like being alone and I like doing this on my own, and so I don't really want to go camping with you.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have a huge meetup. I'm fine with meeting people one-on-one occasionally, but yeah, it's this whole journey has been a very personal thing for me in more ways than one. Like when I'm out going on adventures, it's a, I won't say it's a spiritual experience for me, but it's something approaching that. Like it's a very just peaceful, fulfilling thing for me, and kind of the whole process is a little bit like that. Like even editing a video, it's still fun to go back to see where I was in that video and remember things that I'd forgotten, and so there's still a little piece of that enjoyment and that pleasure and magic in even the things that I don't like to do.
And I think that's really interesting because thinking 15 years ago, someone like you who's more introverted and doesn't talk to large masses of people, you would not be impacting or have the capacity to impact as many people as you do with what you're doing today, even though you're still doing it somewhat by yourself and as a loner.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's really cool.
It's just the power of the internet and of being able to share ideas. It's really opened up business models and opportunities that, like you said, didn't exist 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So let's say you meet someone that is aspiring to become someone who grows a YouTube channel. What would be some of your biggest advice to this person just starting out, or maybe they just started and you have some advice for the early parts of being on YouTube?
I think it's important to try to have a variety of content at the beginning to see what resonates with people, to see what works well. Like for me, I started off with the how-to videos, and those became popular. But I also wanted to try like the vlog style videos and see how those did. Generally speaking, I get more views on the how-to videos, but people get to know me better and like me and want to stick around more for the vlog videos. And they might find me through the how-to videos, but they stick around because of the vlog videos where they can get to know me better. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't tried to make different kinds of content. And so I think that experimenting, see what works, see what doesn't, is an important thing to do at the start. Again, choosing a niche that you like, that you're not doing just to get the views or whatever, because it's not going to work that way. You can't pretend to be interested in something if you're not. As far as other tips, you hear the normal YouTube stuff all the time, like post consistently and engage in the comments and things like that. And those are all good, and those are all true, and they work. But mostly it's just seeing what works, and if something doesn't work, stop doing it, try something else, and try to connect with other YouTubers in your space. This is something that I think I did pretty well kind of early on. There were some other YouTubers who were in space kind of adjacent to mine. Like this one guy, he was into truck camping. It's like sleeping in the back of his truck and having, the camper shell on the back of his pickup truck. And so it's not SUVRving, but it's definitely similar. Like
Right.
people are interested in his adventures, they might be interested in my adventures. And so one thing I did that worked well was I reached out to him and said, hey, I like your videos. Our channels are about the same size. We have a similar audience. How about we just promote each other's videos once in a while? And so like the next time we uploaded a video, we each just showed a little clip of ourselves talking and saying, hey, if you like my videos, if you like this channel, go check out this other guy's channel. I think you'll enjoy that. And then on our YouTube channel pages, there's a section that's like, I don't know what it's called. It's like channels I like or related channels. You can choose to put different channels in there, to feature different channels in there. So we swapped links in there. And so I don't know, I don't have the stats on how effective that has been, but like I definitely, like when those videos went live, I saw upticks in the number of subscribers I had. I've done that a few times, and it's a good way to collaborate with other YouTubers without having to like be in person with them.
Right. And that you can just do it remote. You just can message the person.
Exactly.
Awesome. That's all really good advice. I mean, experimenting, that's super important, both to figure out what you're sharing and to figure out what people consume. Because when you're early on, you got to figure out what works for you at the same time as what works for everyone else. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and if you've posted 100 videos and you get 10 views on each one, that's a good sign that something needs to change. And
right.
And you can see that pattern after just a few videos too. Like if you're not getting the results you want, why is that? What can you change to just change things up? Because you need to change something. You can't just keep going getting 10 videos a week, or getting 10 views on your videos a week. So you need to change something.
Yeah. I've talked to some podcasters that were getting ready to start a podcast, and they're like, I've recorded 45 episodes and I haven't launched yet. And it's like, you need to experiment, right? Like you need some time to change. If you post one a day for 45 days, but you get good response after the first 3, what are you going to do about the rest?
Yeah, seriously. Talk about a waste of time and a waste of effort. Like I know you, when you were starting your podcast, you said that your first three episodes you could re-record your questions and make that all sound better. And that's something that you can't really do if you've got 100 interviews in the can. It's just not
right.
practical.
Yeah, and even after 20 interviews, I completely changed the format of how I'm asking questions. Like I started out sort of with a questionnaire, and now I've got like a couple high-level points that I am trying to tackle, but it's more from like a soft standpoint as opposed to like rigid questions, and I feel like makes it more conversational. And that I figured out after 20 episodes.
Yeah, and it's more interesting for the listener too. Like they don't want to really, at least I don't want to hear the same questions being asked to the same people and get like the same handful of answers in return. Like if I can predict what they're going to say as an answer, then that's not interesting to me.
Right. Yeah.
And there's not that much variation in a particular answer. If you're asking like the same kind of person who does the same kind of thing, you're not going to get that much variation.
Right. All right. So you give some advice to a new YouTuber. If you met someone who's an established YouTuber, maybe they've got around the same audience as you, or maybe bigger, and there's something that you're doing that you feel like is a little bit different than someone else that gives you a little bit of that edge. What would be some advice you'd give to an established YouTube person?
I think I would just tell them what I'm doing that's working and hope that they do the same for me. And in my case, again, it would be doing the kind of the digital collaboration with someone else. It would be, let's see, what else is working for me? Just noticing what videos are doing well and then doing more of that kind of thing. And yeah, experimenting with different kinds of content. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the advice you just gave.
Yeah, exactly.
Established people too. Cool. Well, I mean, what kind of audience we have here at the WhyInfluence podcast. Do you have any last words for the audience before I open it up for you to talk a little bit more about your online store and your brand?
I think it's interesting to talk about the why, and I think it's also interesting to talk about the how. Like, how is this person making a living doing this? I like hearing about how people are making money doing what they're doing. And I'm not comfortable with sharing exact numbers, like how much money I'm making, I think a lot of people might be like that. But I'm happy with sharing how I'm making money, the different methods. For me, it's at least half of my income is from the online store, and then the other half is kind of a cross between books that I've written and Amazon affiliate links and the YouTube revenue. And that's something that that mix is something that's, I think, unique to me. And I think that every influencer has their own mix of how they're making it happen. And I think going forward in the future, I think that's something that would be interesting to your listeners to probe more into, not necessarily how much money they're making, because that's kind of icky, but just thinking, seeing how they're doing it.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm very open to feedback, and especially since you've listened to a good handful of the episodes here, I think that's a great point. I've had some people, ask me, well, how are these people making money, like off the channel? So yeah, right now I'm not really interacting with a lot of the audience. It's mostly just people listening in.
Yeah, because that's really the crux of the issue. Like, everyone has their own why. They all have their own reasons for doing it. I might not be able to relate to someone else's reasons for doing it, but the how they're doing it, even if I'm not in their niche, that's still interesting to me, because it's something that I could apply to my niche.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll definitely incorporate that into future episodes. I like how that sort of just became a tip for the podcast.
Yeah. I don't remember what your original question was that led to that, but
any last words for the audience? But if anything, you help them by incorporating another question into future episodes, to drill into that. And just for the record, you've got your YouTube channel where you talk about, camping in your SUV. So you've got all these products that are niched down into that channel that you can just show in your videos. Like, oh, I'm just using this. This is available in my store. It's something I designed, and I think that's a unique way to incorporate some sales into your YouTube.
Yeah, at the end of each video, I have a little a screen saying, here's my book. You can find it on Amazon. Here's my store. You can go here for accessories and some merch. And then I put links to those things in the description. And yeah, I don't even have to be overly pushy about it. I don't have to be like, look at me, use this product. Look how great this product is. And I can just kind of tack that onto the end of every video. And even if it has nothing to do with the things that I sell, it's still something that people will see.
Right. And I think that's really important, because I've had some guests that they've had to depend on sponsors. But when you depend on sponsors, they influence your voice. They'll be like, oh, don't say things this way, or don't say that, or you can't share this on episode where we're sponsored. Yeah. And it influences it. So the fact that you can build an income off your own brand with your online store allows you to not take on these sponsors, and keeps you being your authentic self, which also helps with longevity.
Exactly. I don't have corporate overlords, telling me what I can and can't say.
Right. Well, I'd like to end the episode by giving you an opportunity to talk a little bit more about your brand and your social accounts, your books, your online store, and anything else you'd like to share with the audience. And just keep in mind, I'll include links to all those in the show notes of this episode, so that everyone can access them from the website and go directly to you.
Sure. Thanks. I appreciate that. The main thing is SUVRving. You can go to SUVRving.com for that, or look for it on YouTube. If you search for that on Amazon, you'll find the book. And there are links on the website, SUVRving.com, to everything else I do, to the store, which is kamchatkagear.com, to the book, to my other YouTube channel. I have a channel about fishing that's even more niche than this one. And so that's the hub for basically everything that I do.
Awesome. Well, Tristan, thanks so much for coming on the show, sharing your why and being vulnerable with us today. I hope you have a great remainder of the year and look forward to catching up sometime in the future as your journey evolves.
Yeah, that sounds great. I look forward to it, and thanks for having me.
Sure.
Well, that concludes the interview. I know you have a lot of things that you could be listening to right now, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this interview in its entirety. Again, Tristan, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us today. One of my favorite nuggets from Tristan is how he took his blog and turned it into an ebook, turned the ebook into a product, and then used the YouTube channel to sell the books. And then more often than not, I've heard stories just like this where someone creates a platform such as YouTube or a podcast to sell books. And then what happens is the platform sort of takes over and then surpasses what the books are doing. And it seems like that's the case here for Tristan as well. I like how he has an online store for products that he's developed that he can share with his niche community. I think that's a great way to make a living doing what he's doing. And I liked that he gave some feedback at the end and really pushed me to incorporate that as part of the topics for this podcast, because he's actually listened to several podcasts before coming on as a guest, which I really appreciated. And then he had feedback saying that he really would like to hear how influencers are making income and where their income's coming from future guests. So that's something that I've incorporated into future episodes, and it's going to be part of the WhyInfluence questionnaire and topic of discussion moving forward. Tristan talked a lot about the importance of testing and trying new things, and if you fail, just get up and try new things. He said that what he found is some balance between creating how-to videos, which gets good views and brings in new viewership, and vlog style videos, which is really more for his community and subscriber base, but they're really eating up that content, really feel related to him, and that gives him a core group of followers that like the vlog style. So he's got a balance between how-tos and vlog style that is working for him, but he wouldn't have figured that out if he didn't do testing. You need to make sure that you choose a niche of something you like, not just something that you're doing for the views, and post consistently and engage with all your comments. Now, how am I doing here at the WhyInfluence podcast? Well, I liked that Tristan came to the podcast ready to give some feedback, and then at the end he gave more feedback. So I really appreciate that. I love getting feedback on how the podcast is going, where I can improve. Tristan said that I did a really good job not sticking to the script and that I followed where I was interested in the conversation going. So he gave good feedback on my interview style, essentially. Now, a quick update on the podcast. We've reached almost 30 episodes now. This is episode 29. The next one is going to be 30. And actually, before I release the 30th, I'll be doing the live streamed update episode on my status of the podcast. I'll have Nathan interview me just like I did for after 10 episodes, after 20 episodes, and now after 30 episodes. And we'll be live streaming it, so it's going to be a whole new component. And, you know, going from the beginning of my journey where the first 3 episodes, I re-recorded everything I said in those episodes, to now doing a live streamed piece where I'm doing no post-editing is a pretty big jump and big leap, and it's been a journey to get to this place. So I'm looking forward to doing that live stream, and I'm also looking forward to live streaming future episodes as well. With that said, I'm going to be doing less post-editing with episodes. So if you thought that this episode seemed a little bit slower paced than previous episodes, it's because I'm trying out unedited. Essentially just cropped the beginning and end of the interview and just plopped it in here. So if you think that it was a little bit too slow paced for you, if there was a little bit too much big of gaps, you wish things that were repeated should have been edited out, if that stuff affects you and bothers you, then please let me know and I'll reconsider where we're headed. But for the most part, I'm planning to do more raw footage moving forward. To learn more about Tristan, then visit our website, whyinfluence.com, WHYinfluence.com, and navigate to episodes 029. That's Tristan Higbee, SUVRving. If you go to episode 29, you'll see all of the links to his websites, his social medias, his online store. You'll see show notes, and everything you need is going to be on that page. I'd encourage you to take a moment to look up Tristan and look up his content and send him a private message and tell him that you heard him on the WhyInfluence podcast. If you'd like to join the WhyInfluence community, then I'd encourage you to join the Discord group. There's a link in the footer of the website, as well as on each episode page, for joining the Discord group for WhyInfluence. And I encourage you to go in there, share some things you've gotten out of the podcast, share some things you're working on, and use the support network there to push you through whatever it is that you're trying to work on. As always, give yourself a big pat on the back for making it to the end of the episode, and I'll see you in the next one.